Hi, everyone, and welcome to Sandra Cruz Unfiltered. My name is Sandra Cruz, and today I'm going to tell you a story of a paper cut. Imagine you're getting a letter you're so excited to get. It could be from a college you applied to. It could be, anything really. I can't think of anything right now that's really exciting to get as a letter. So let's just run with it. You're getting a letter you're really excited about, and you're ripping it open, and the next thing you know, you have a paper cut. Ouch. Yep. Paper cuts are annoying, aren't they? But what do we do with them? We usually run our finger under running water to clean off the wound, dry it off, and it really keeps on bleeding. We put a band-aid on it, right? And then we forget about it, maybe until we cut onions or something. But generally, we just forget about this paper cut because we know our body is self-healing and it will take care of it. Meaning that the platelets will run to the wound and will cause the scab. And the scab will stay on to protect the wound until the skin underneath has fully healed. And then it's going to fall off and we forget all about this paper cut. But the body is self-healing on all levels, which means not just the physical level, which we all know and trust in, but also on the mental and emotional level, which means trauma. But the thing is, we were never taught that our body can also heal trauma. And that's the big issue. Because if we knew how we could create the environment for our body to heal the mental emotional level, we wouldn't be attached to trauma for so many years. Here's the thing. When we think about trauma, the first thing that we think about is the story. But the story is the one thing that will never change. We cannot go back into the past and make what happened unhappen. It's not possible. So we need to focus on something else because the story becomes part of our life story. And the story is not what keeps us hostage. It's the emotions attached to the story. It's the triggers. It's the feelings, the physical, mental, emotional feelings, the fear, the panic, the anxiety, the PTSD. That's what keeps us stuck in the story. That's what keeps us catapulting us back into the story. But that's not what we need to focus on. Because if we focus on the story, we keep ourselves stuck in our trauma. It would be the same as constantly ripping off the scab from the paper cut and make it bleed again and again and again. That's the same thing as focusing on the story. You cannot heal as long as you keep ripping up the scab, right? So in order to heal from trauma, we have to move away from the story. That's not what needs healing. Our emotions attached to it, that's what needs healing. When we're being traumatized, we literally have the rug pulled out from underneath us. It happened out of our control. So we lose our natural sense of being in control. And that's what we need to get back. So that we feel safe in our body again. So that we feel safe in this world again. That's what we need to focus on, getting our natural sense of control back. When you think about it, perfectionism, OCD, the need to control, these are all aspects of trauma. If you ask someone who is a perfectionist, if they had trauma in their life, 9 out of 10 will say yes. Because with perfectionism, they are creating, a unnatural sense of being controlled. I feel like they need to control in order to be in control. So everything has to be in the right spot. Everything has to happen exactly as they plan out. That's when they feel in control. But as soon as they're not in control, when something goes sideways, as it always does, they get completely triggered because they realize they're not in control at all. So getting our natural sense of control back is the most important thing in trauma healing. And we need to work on this every day. We need to challenge ourselves every day. And if you do that, before you know it, that paper cut that is your trauma is going to start healing, and it's going to start fizzling out, and the story becomes less and less important in your life. I do hope this little story and the comparison to trauma made you think and gives you some starting points for your healing journey. Please like, share, subscribe this video. And always remember, trauma is not a life sentence. You have the power to heal. Bye.